Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure at this moment to present to you this very good course, psychological testing. Most especially my fellow students that are in psychology, be it educational psychology, counseling psychology, and other related courses in psychology. This course is psychological testing. It tests the psychology of a client that comes to you, a client that came with a problem, be it a social problem, a physical problem, cognitive problem, psychological problem, emotional problem, and other related problems like this. As a scientist, you are expected to use an instrument that will test the ability of these clients so that you can interpret and publish the results for him to see what is expected of him to do. Most especially our parents in different schools. If you have your child, there is need for a school to have a kind of a psychologist or a counselor that will support the school in getting the interest of students in whatever field they want to do. This instrument will help him to know the loopholes, to know the problems that the child or the student is facing. So psychological testing is a very good course that entirely teaches people to know the importance of developing an instrument in order to test a behavior or trend, in order to predict a behavior or explain a behavior. So in a nutshell, the importance of this course cannot be over exaggerated. Based on what the researchers are explaining or they have defined, they said psychological testing refers to a variety of methods used to assess an individual's mental health, personality, cognitive abilities, and emotional functioning. So it's a course that teaches us different or variety of methods that we're expected to know them, so that if somebody comes to you, if that person is facing social problem, we should take a relevant instrument or relevant tool or apparatus that you can solve his problem, be it mental health, his well-being. You have to know what is really happening by using these psychological test items. And one good thing about these items or these tools are tools that are loaded with variety of things that will support a client, be it intellectual problems also. So, and not only this, even personality issues, the totality of what we do in a day, the totality of what we respond to stimulus or stimuli, this is called personality. So there should be an instrument that a scientist or a psychologist will develop in order to elicit information. If this person is facing paranoid disorder, is facing a personality disorder, or something that has to do with nature, I believe these tools or psychological testing is a course that will support that person to know, yes, I have loopholes or I have problem of this or that. And not only this, if you take a look at cognitive ability, the way we comprehend things, the way we read things, the way we understand things, the way we analyze things, the way we synthesize things, I think if our cognitive faculty or ability is having problem, we cannot cogitate and we cannot process the information. So for somebody that is in psychology or counseling, there is need for him to develop this kind of instrument that will check or analyze or synthesize or prognostize the problem of a client, and instrument that will tell you, yes, follow this full step. If you follow this, you can treat this person. If you follow this, the person will be his problem can be solved also. And not only this, even emotional function. When we talk of emotion, we're referring to our feelings, how we feel about stimulus and how we feel about stimuli, our reactions to certain things. I believe developing an instrument will help us to know, or using an instrument, standardized instrument that has all the cosmetics. I believe psychometric cosmetics, I believe using that will help an expert to know deeply what is wrong with you, or what is the problem that you are facing. These tests are designed to provide insight into person's behavior, thoughts, and feelings, and can be used for various purposes, including diagnosis, treatment planning, and research. So, if you take a look at this instrument that we have said, or this course that we are talking about, this psychological testing, it's a course that teaches us a variety of methods on how we can deal with behaviors, on how we can deal with thoughts of individuals, on how we can deal with feelings of an individual. It's a course that teaches us how to diagnose somebody psychologically and bring out his problem so that we can treat him accordingly. And it's an instrument, or it's a course, or it's a field that will support us to know what really do we need in order to teach somebody, or in order to solve someone's psychological problem. In this course, really, we have different types of instrument that an expert in psychology or in counseling psychology may decide to use. Part of this, or some of these types of the tests that we are expected to use or to be familiar with them are: number one, we have intelligence tests, where you can test the ability of someone; personality tests, where you can test the totality of what someone does; aptitude tests, where you can test the ability of someone, how he thinks, how he process information; achievement tests, you can test how someone will pass or how someone will get something done correctly; and neuropsychological tests, these are issues that have to do with neurons, have to do with our behavior, most especially the brain, how we process nerves and things like that. And projective tests, there are tests that you can project the performance of someone, or you can decide to know, let me do this so that I can know this, what is this person will do in the next coming 20, 30 years, or in the next coming 5 years or so. So as an expert, we are expected to take a look at these things so that you can be familiar with these instrument. We still have interest inventory instrument. Interest, at our secondary school, one of the pillars of counseling is vocational counseling. So as a scientist, most especially behavioral scientists, we are expected to use interest inventories to figure out what is the interest of this person that is in JSS1, this person that is in SS1. You should know the interest of this person so that you can help the school plan very well, so that you can help the parent in choosing the career for their children or for their words also. So I think this is one of the things that all the educationists are expected to look at them. And number 8 is behavioral assessment. We should take a look at the overt and covert behavior, what we can see and what we cannot see. We have instruments that can help us to elicit information from what we can see and from what we cannot see, based on the behavior of someone that is in the community. Number 9 is cognitive tests. We can test someone's ability, as I've said earlier. We can test someone how he comprehends things. And not only this, number 10, we have diagnostic test. You can use this instrument or a psychological inventory also, or psychological property, to diagnose someone, to know really what is wrong with this person. I believe if a psychologist is familiar with this, he may have his problem solved without having any difficulty. We should know the purpose of this course, most especially psychological testing. One is for us to teach, or is for us to be aware of clinical diagnosis. For those of us that are in hospitals, there are problems in the hospitals that are mainly for those of us that are psychologists, psychiatrists, counseling psychologists, a general psychologist, a social worker. We are the only people that will get to know that this person has social problem, or has emotional problem, or this person has behavioral problem also. So there is need for us to be acquainted to know this tool in diagnosing someone, what is really happening to this person. We can diagnose mental conditions of a person, like depression, like anxiety and learning disabilities. For those of us that are in hospitals, you can determine what is the problem. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's depression. You should provide alternative for the person that is in the hospital. And those of us that are in school, we can still experience depression and anxiety among students and learning difficulties. What are you going to use in order to support the learners? I believe these are the things that we should do. Number 2 is educational placement. We can use psychological test inventories, psychometric properties to test someone's ability to know where do we supposed to put that person, to assess a child's developmental progress, or learning abilities. Maybe can he be in primary 1 or primary 2, primary 3, up to primary 6 years, or up to SSC, SS3. So these are some of the things you cannot just use. There is psychometric property or inventory that an expert is expected to use in order to support his client also. Number 3 is occupational assessment. I have said it before. For you to get it done in your school, for you to get it done as a parent, there is need for you to know what is occupational assessment of your child. You should evaluate the job that your child wants to go for. Does the child has the competence to go for that job? Does his personality fit to the job? What is his specific roles in that job? Can he cope with the job? These are some of the things that parents are expected to know so that they can support their children. And not only this, number 4 is legal cases. In the field of counseling psychology, in the field of psychology, educational psychology, and general psychology, there is a field that we call is forensic psychology. This is a field that support an individual to know about cases. How can he help his clients that is at the court of law to pass or to know what is the problem, so that he can support him, so that he can solve his problem amicably. These legal cases is sometimes, as I've said, is in forensic psychology. It can be used to test someone's problem. Maybe what happens to him is as a result of anxiety, is as a result of depression, and other criminal issues like that. A forensic psychologist can use this to support someone that is in problem. All these instruments that I've mentioned, for you to get them done, if you want to develop your own, there are things that you're expected to know them. If those things are not there, we call them key principles. If these key principles are not in your instrument, then the instrument will not stand the test of your diagnosis or treatment. Number 1, there should be a standardization. Standardization means ensures that the test is administered and scored consistently. This is what is expected to do. You have to administer the test yourself. You have to observe. You have to analyze. You have to synthesize, and you have to bring out the results so that you can publish the result and tell someone this is your problem. You can't do that if your instrument is not standardized. And not only this, reliability of the instrument is very, very important. The test provide consistent result over the time. I may test it now, tomorrow I may test it. If it provides same result or consistent result, then my instrument is reliable. So there is need for all the scientists, behavioral scientists, most especially counseling psychologists, to understand that there is need for us to develop a very good instrument. And not only this, validity of the instrument must undergo validation. People have to look at it, most especially experts in the field of psychology, counseling psychology, educational psychology, forensic psychology, and other psychological courses like that. This expert must look at the instrument, must look at the items of the instrument, so that they can advise accordingly, so that the instrument can stand the test of the problem. And not only this, there is what we call norms. Test scores are compared to a standardized group to what? To interpret the result. This is what is expected to do. As a scientist, as a behavioral scientist, there is need for you to take a look at these things. These are the things that will make your instrument to be acceptable. These are the things that will make your instrument to be valid. And these are the things that will make your instrument to be reliable. So with this, I believe whosoever that wants to go for it, he may get it correct. And the following, if you take a look at this slide, personality test tools that we are going to now dish out to you. These tools have undergone the psychometric properties that I have mentioned. Number 1, if you take a look at it, is Minnesota multifaceted personality inventory, MMPI. If you take a look at it, the next one is MBTI. The next one is Ocean. Ocean is for personality test, as we've been using day in, day out. And the next one is personality factor questionnaire. It's a very good one that will help you to support your client. And not only this, we have EPQ, is one of the instruments that you are expected to use as a psychologist. And CPI, TATE, you can use TATE to support someone. And we still have hexacle personality inventory, and We have million clinical inventory that if you take your time to make use of them, you can support someone, and I believe someone will get to know what it's all about. So this is just the simple explanation that we have. In our next class, we are going to talk very well on the other aspect of psychological testing. So please, we should take a look at what we've discussed. We have talked about psychological testing, the definition of psychological testing. We have talked about different types of testing. We have talked about the purpose of psychological testing. We have talked about personality test tools. So we should take note of this. Thank you.